we're on the road to WrestleMania. Like we said last week's episode, Elimination Chamber has come and gone. It's in the past now. And for the next, here we are coming up on 5 weeks now till WrestleMania officially happens in mid-April. So yeah, they're starting to build stuff. They're starting to get some matches going, or at least some programs set up, and we can kind of foreshadow where are going to be some of the matches for WrestleMania. And it's actually funny, Tim, because you and I was at last week's episode in the Kliq. We kind of did like a little bit of predictions of what we think could be potential matches for WrestleMania. I think you and I combined came up with like 18 matches.
Close to it.
Yeah, we don't think all of them are going to make it there. If we go by last year's numbers, it was 7 each night, so 14 total. So unfortunately, some stuff has to get scratched. And I was asking my coworker the other day, so I kind of ran down my list for him, and so we were trying to figure out which ones could get scratched. So that's yet to be seen. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's talk about first Monday Night Raw, some of the highlights from there. Then we'll talk from what happened on last week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, and then this week at NXT, it was a big episode. NXT Roadblock. It was very much felt like a pay-per-view, or excuse me, PLE type show on a Tuesday night, though, over in New York at the theater next to Madison Square Garden. And some big stuff did happen on that episode, so I feel like it's appropriate for us to talk about it. But first things first, let's talk about Monday Night Raw this week. And let's talk about the main event for WrestleMania Night 2, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Cody Rhodes this week, he's trying to start the build for this match with John Cena. John Cena is not there. As was announced on Raw this week, he will be showing up next week's episode of Raw. They're going to be in Europe, right? In what country was that?
I can tell you right now.
Was it Brussels? I've tried to think.
I believe so. I'm 99% sure. It is Brussels, Belgium.
Yeah, so that'll be the first time. So about 2 weeks since John Cena officially turned heel at Elimination Chamber. So a little over 2 weeks later, we'll get to hear from him. And I'm really excited. Are we going to see the whole new look, presentation? What is he going to say in that promo? Is he going to get new music, a new theme song, entrance music, all that stuff? But let's talk about Cody Rhodes, because the fallout episodes of Raw and SmackDown following Elimination Chamber, it's him by himself doing the heavy lifting right now, trying to set up this match with John Cena not there. He's kind of doing all the work. So let's talk about, he did 2 promos. So on SmackDown last week, he cut a promo. First time we've seen him since Elimination Chamber. He came out, he had the busted eye. I'm guessing that was some good makeup work, right? Like real talk. You think that was real from the Travis Scott?
Travis Scott slapped the crud out of him.
Okay. And then he came out again on Monday Night Raw this past Monday, which was live from Madison Square Garden in New York City. So, Tim, I want to, turn it to you as far as your thoughts on the promos so far. It's what he said on SmackDown and then the following week on Raw. It was kind of more or less the same stuff. It was more or less calling out John Cena. Just how on SmackDown, he more or less said how he, when he got started in this company, paying his dues and coming up in the company, he saw John Cena as like a mentor. He would ride with him. He learned from him. He thought it was like a role model of who he wants to be one day for the company. And also he was explaining to his daughter, why he has a busted eye. And he had to lie to her a little bit. He didn't want to reveal to her that like John Cena caused it or John Cena turned on him. And then he more or less said at the end, John Cena, come and get some. And then on Raw this week, it was kind of more or less the same, just talking about the upcoming match with John Cena. And he called him out once again. And he said, while you're trying to go for number 17, my big thing for this WrestleMania, I'm going to take pleasure is preventing you from getting number 17. And he called him a moron and told him to sit down. So I just want to get your thoughts so far on Cody Rhodes doing this solo build for this main event match.
So a couple of things here. Like, Cody killed it in both promos. Both promos were awesome, amazing. And I have seen some people online, they were like, oh, why didn't they have John Cena film some stuff backstage at Elimination Chamber before he left or before, the night was over? And then they could air those and Cody could try to go back and forth with the video or something. And it's like, well, if you listen to what The Rock said, John showed up to the press conference, grabbed the mic, dropped the mic, and apparently immediately jumped on a plane to leave to go back and film the Matchbox movie. So like I said, I have seen the criticism from some fans going, hey, why didn't they do any pre-tapes with John? I mean, granted, they probably could have done them earlier in the day, but they didn't want anybody to see them being filmed and then it spoil everything and they get out there and whatnot. But I think by himself, Cody has really done a great job. Yeah. Cody Rhodes, probably one of the better promos they have. And maybe you could say it's because that year or two, him and his sister went to LA and did acting classes and whatnot. So
yeah,
maybe that's it. But no, I think Cody did a great job. The one thing you can always say about Cody Rhodes, he's always got the emotion and the passion better than almost anybody right now.
Even in his face, you can see it. He's a man beaten down still. He's trying to just still, I think, collect himself after this huge moment, as you and I talked about last week, arguably, but hands down, one of the biggest moments in the last 20 plus years in pro wrestling. John Cena turning heel, a moment no one thought would ever happen, especially at this point in his career, his retirement year going on right now. And so Cody Rhodes is still reflecting on it, and I think he really delivered that passionately. Just he's torn. A guy like you and I just said, he saw John Cena as a role model, someone he grew up with in this business, rode with him, learned a lot from him, and then here we are in present time. The guy turned his back on him, so it's heartbreaking. But now he's using that heartbreak to use it for his fuel, for passion, to get revenge on him and help set up this match for WrestleMania. And as we said on Raw this week, he wants to prevent John Cena from breaking that record, because John Cena is all about now. His motive is breaking the world title reign record that him and Ric Flair have at 16. He wants to get number 17. So Cody Rhodes' big thing is, one, keeping this title, because mentioned also, he's been told the longer you're champion, it becomes heavier and heavier, holding that title every day as world champion. But he said right now, man, it's light. Like, he's holding it up proudly. Like, I'm not feeling no pressure. I love being champion. You guys can count on me. And now the added bonus is, like, I want to prevent John Cena, heal John Cena from getting this title from him. But also, it's I do want to give him, credit for just, it's tough going out there trying to set this match by yourself. No one's there. But the other thing too, I think there's such a huge moment in the pro wrestling world, historically, John Cena turning heel. You want him, his first time since that moment, you want it live in the ring. So I get people are frustrated and want to see a backstage video promo or something. Right. It's like, no, they're going to save that for live on television. Tune in live to watch this show, to see him live in the ring and get that live reaction from the crowd. Not waste that first what you say, you only get one first impression, right? And what I mean here, you only get one first impression of John Cena as a heel. You're going to save that moment for in the ring, not in a backstage video promo. And granted, you're right, when he does show up, it will be nearly over 2 weeks since he turned heel. I think a lot of people wanted that. We talked about it last week. People are so impatient; they want things right away. WWE, I'm sure they want to spread this out. Like we just said, they got 5 weeks till WrestleMania. They got to stretch this out for the next 5 weeks. So, killing time last week, let Cody do the heavy lifting at first, let a couple weeks go by, build up that anticipation, people wanting to see what's John Cena's first words going to be. What is he going to say? And now next week's episode of Monday Night Raw really is going to become must-see TV to see what John Cena has to say. So it's going to be interesting, but yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. I hope we get a lot in this segment there. I'm anticipating not give us everything. I would not be surprised he walks out to the ring with no music or something. I don't know. I'm curious. They're not going to reveal everything. I think they're going to keep it. They're going to hold out.
I want to say John's supposed to be on like 2 or 3 straight Raws.
I think so. Yes. So they're on their big UK tour for like the next 3 weeks. Is that
for the rest of the month?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So John Cena, as we know so far, is scheduled for every Raw for the rest of March.
Wow. Okay.
So that's 3 weeks in a row. No SmackDowns, but Raw every week.
Gotcha. And then I believe early April when they come back, I think they're going to start some West Coast dates, because Sacramento has a Raw.
Okay.
I think the Monday before WrestleMania. So I think before WrestleMania, they're going to do a lot of their shows on the West Coast.
right now, this is very interesting that they announced it like this. They announced Cena for March 17th, 24, and 31. And we know he's working Mania, whichever night, 19th or 20th, Saturday, Sunday. But then they announced John Cena will be May 25th, Saturday night's main event.
Okay.
And then May 30th SmackDown, June 13th SmackDown, and June 20 SmackDown. So they announced them for before Mania, a little before, and then a little after. It's like a month before and a month after.
So, hypothetically speaking, so those 3 leading up to Mania is obviously building the match for Cody. Then after Mania, could that be hypothetically a champion Cena doing some appearances?
Oh, it has to be.
Okay. All right.
And then also you got to think John Cena said he's going to do what, 35, 40 dates or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the rest of the year if you think about it, once a week.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, we talked about last week with this heel Cena. I think early predictions is yes, he's going to win WrestleMania and become the 17 champions. As much as it's painful for me to say that, I love Cody Rhodes. I love him as WWE champion, but I think the story here is John Cena turns heel, wins the title, and Cody eventually gets his revenge on him at some point later in the year. So yeah.
Did you hear the story Dave Meltzer put out last week in The Observer that Rock really wanted Cody to be the one to turn heel, and Cody's the one that said, no, I can't do it right now. Like, I can't. He refused.
Thank you for reminding me about
Cena
that.
was number 2, I guess you would say.
But then was it The Rock's writer, Brian Gerwitz, wrote on Twitter,
he's been trying
Meltzer 0 for 2 on his reports?
No, I don't know, because Brian Gerwitz also, WrestleVotes put out a thing today saying that a name being thrown around for the group is the Rock and Soul Connection, and Brian Gerwitz is like, oh, you got no good source or something like that. I don't know. What did he say? Hold on. He tried to shoot down WrestleVotes for it.
You think Brian Gerwitz is just trying to
yes, 100%.
Not like misdirect with
don't believe all these things so you could be surprised when they come and actually become a real thing.
Well, no, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. If that's the case, that's a smart move on Cody's part. He's so red hot right now. And you and I talked about this last week. Cody Rhodes is on the run of his lifetime right now. These last couple years to finish his story, that's just one arc right there. But now, this new arc that he's on right now, trying to go up against the final boss, The Rock, heel John Cena. If he can overcome these odds and beat these guys at some point to retain or become champion again for a second title reign, that will put him in the top tier of the all-time greats. Like we said last week, the Hogans, the Austins, the John Cenas. So you're right. Cody Rhodes, this is a smart move. He's selling a lot of merch. The fans are still cheering him on. Everyone loves him still. For him to turn heel right now, it's dumb. I could see Cody turn heel at some point if he feels like his character is getting stale or he needs a character change, or maybe it's ran its course. But no, you're still in the middle of this hot run he's on right now. So for them to abandon that and go heel, that's a terrible idea. So Cody, smart idea on them. And I think big picture, much better having John Cena as the heel, because now you create this mega heel for the babyface Cody Rhodes to go up against. So long term, this is the right move.
And I think John turning heel on Cody is the perfect way to do it, because Cody Rhodes is the closest to John Cena they've had. Yes. Not even Roman Reigns was this beloved by the children and, wildly popular like John Cena was. Now, eventually, I don't know if we're eventually going to get, like the let's go Cena sucks chance for Cody. Let's go Cody sucks eventually. Yeah. But it's like they wanted, this is what Cody right now is what Vince wanted Roman to be. And it never worked.
Oh, yeah.
And so now that you have John Cena turning heel on basically his predecessor, it all works out perfectly. Also, Brian Gewirtz, so it said one of the ideas discussed for the name for the group via WrestleVotes was the Rock and Soul Connection. Brian Gewirtz then quote tweeted it saying, "Your sources are drunk."
It just sounds like he's trying to misdirect the reporting there. So trying to keep somewhat kayfabe alive or not all those secrets out there. So, but yeah, I right now I'm excited still. I'm curious to see how this is going to go, but Cody can't do this all by himself. We need Cena there. So I'm glad they announced Cena going to be on the next 3 Raws, and I'm sure he'll probably be on.
There'll be 2 April. There's 2 weeks in April. They have 2.
that Cena's going to be on.
No, that we don't know if Cena's going to be or not.
So that's what I was going to get at. Is I hope he has to be on the go home episode.
At least, yeah.
But here's the thing that's the other thing too. Keep in mind, this segues into the next topic here. Cody and Cena, their face-off since Elimination Chamber is going to happen on Monday Night Raw. Cody appearing on Raw this week as WWE champion, but he's technically a SmackDown guy. This is technically a SmackDown story if you want to get like super in the details. So I feel kind of bad for like Gunther, Jey Uso, other people on Raw. I feel like this is like bleeding over into Monday Night Raw when this could be done on SmackDown. But I get it. It's WrestleMania season. It's like all hands on deck, and you kind of, the brand split, you kind of throw that out the window right now leading up to WrestleMania. But I feel like it's kind of overshadowing maybe some of the stories happening on Raw. I think you just got to be kind of careful there. But I guess it's Netflix. They're trying to put all the star power on Netflix as well.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think that they think, and this is something that's I don't know if you've been following the Netflix rating and then the viewership number. That's something very interesting to look at. But do you think maybe we're going to put the John Cena big heel turn feud on Raw because it's going to get more eyeballs? Do you think it could be a thing like that they want?
Yeah,
the most
absolutely.
Views possibly, but apparently every week since January 6th when they debuted on Netflix, except the Raw After Chamber has been down, and it keeps going down the viewership number. Now we get the actual number from Netflix, but you have to wait a week. They have like a website called Tudum or whatever it's called. You know, Tudum. Anyways, but when they put up and they say, hey, for the last week, here's the viewership numbers of the top 10 shows and the top 10 movies. I'm scared that Raw might fall out of the top 10 one of these weeks. Because I think the week before Chamber, I think it was number 8.
Interesting. So I wonder, Well,
let me see if I can pull it up.
I mean, they're trying hard to promote that partnership with Netflix. Every Raw, or at least in the big cities, they'll have people in the crowd that have shows on Netflix. So they're trying to have the star power. Like on Raw this week in New York City, how many people were in the stands and seats that have shows on Raw or on Netflix? So they're trying to do as much cross promotion synergy as they can. So
we have the number for March 3rd, which is the night after the Monday Raw, the Raw After Chamber.
Yeah.
They say, and I don't know 100% how they calculate the views, because it's like they could say, like, we don't know if it's, you jumped on for a second and it counts, or I think with Nielsen, you have to be on for a certain amount of time. But Nielsen, I'll tell you right now, I was in Nielsen home for a while because they told me they were going to pay me, and I barely made anything of like pennies. But a Nielsen thing is, I don't trust the Nielsen rating anyways, from what I know and what I experienced. It's basically estimate, I would say. But the March 3rd Raw was the number 7 thing as far as TV shows on Netflix. Wow. It was behind Halo season 1, which is like a 3-year or 4-year-old show that is now on Netflix, which I'm shocked that Paramount put it on to Netflix. Anyways, it was behind some new show with Kate Hudson called Running Point.
Okay.
And then something here with Robert De Niro and a couple other things. It barely beat the Andrew Scholes special. Wow. The comedy special. Yeah. Like it says, Raw did 3.1 million. Andrew Scholes did 2.9.
Wow. Okay.
Now, here's the question. Andrew Scholes was on Raw this week. You think him being on Raw could help him leapfrog Raw in the ratings? Or everyone watched it for 1 week and they don't need to go back to it? That's the thing with these comedy specials. You watch it, you're never going back to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, comedy special, most likely you watch it once, and then if you're a big enough fan, maybe you watch that comedian again, or you'll just memorize certain segments of the bit. There's certain comedy bits you'll remember from certain lines. But yeah, once you see one special live all the way through, you probably won't go back and watch it. But then again, I know Andrew Schultz on his YouTube channel, he talked about his experience, I think the next day. So his podcast has a big following. So maybe him talking about his appearance on Monday Night Raw will lead to like maybe getting some of his fans to watch Raw next week. That's
the other thing with these ratings. They don't tell us if it is a 24-hour rating. I believe it's a week rating. Like over the whole week, I believe, maybe.
So not just watching live, but people watch it on demand later.
I think from what I've heard like Dave Meltzer say, and I want to say Brandon Thurston, because that's why we get the rating a week later.
Okay.
Because with Nielsen, it's the live plus I want to say 24-hour DVR number, something like that. I'm not 100% on ratings, but yeah.
Yeah, though it's going to be interesting here, just how much of this Cody Rhodes John Cena rivalry, this feud, the storyline is going to take place on Raw, and I'm a little worried it's going to overshadow the other storylines for the regular people that appear on Monday Night Raw every single week. So we'll see how that goes.
And then one other Netflix thing, remember, for the next 3 weeks, Raw's going to be airing early. Like, you can go back and watch it whatever time you want on Netflix, but if you want to be watching live, they're airing in prime time, whatever country they're in. So like SmackDown tomorrow, if you have Netflix internationally through like a VPN or whatever, it's going to be 3 Eastern airing live.
Gotcha.
So just know that too. SmackDown will air whatever on the USA Network your normal time, but Raw live is going to be early.
Yeah, which I'm excited. Like this coming Monday when they're in Europe, it's going to be what, 12 o'clock Pacific time. So at
something
noon,
like that.
So I could be, coming home from work early and watching Monday Night Raw as soon as I get home from having lunch and watching that. So I'm excited for that. But with that being said, I'm talking about Cena, Rhodes. Their story could be overshadowing what's going on in Raw. My next question for you, Tim, what is going to be the main event for night one of WrestleMania 41? Because as we've seen the last couple weeks now, there are potentially 3 different storylines, feuds, matches could main event night one. So I'm just curious, what could it be? So I'm just throwing it out there. We know Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble this year. He's going to take on Gunther. He picked Gunther a few weeks ago. And we'll talk about their whole program and that storyline, or maybe lack of, in a second there. Also, Io Sky shockingly beat Rhea Ripley last week for the WWE World Women's title. So she's now the champion. A big surprise, big shocker. Rhea Ripley, who everyone thought was going to be champion, and Bianca Belair, who won the Elimination Chamber 2 weeks ago. So as of right now, it's supposed to be Bianca versus Io. Rhea's pissed off that she lost the title. She's getting involved there. We'll talk about what they did this week on Raw in a second. And now the third possible main event here is Seth Rollins versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, who we saw Roman Reigns make his big return this Monday on Raw. He interfered the main event, the steel cage match between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, live in Madison Square Garden. By interfering, he more or less pulled out Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins won the match technically because his feet touched the ground first outside the ring. So he cost CM Punk the match. So those are the 3 right now. I feel like that's kind of like the online discussion right now, is those are the 3 matches that could potentially main event night one. How are you thinking right now? What's maybe first things first, let's talk about which one would you pick for night one, and then let's talk about each 3 of their segments from this week and how it played out.
Oh, for me, it's easy. It's CM Punk finally getting his WrestleMania main event.
Okay.
But here is the interesting thing. As we talk about how the John Cena, Cody Rhodes feud sounds like a SmackDown feud taking place on Raw. Well, this is a Raw feud. Roman is announced for multiple SmackDowns, not Raws. Granted, he wasn't announced or advertised for the Raw this past Monday, so he could show up on any show. But it's interesting that not tomorrow, but the next 2 weeks, Roman is advertised for SmackDown.
Overseas. Those are going to be overseas.
Yes.
Interesting.
And so it's like, well, this is a Raw feud. So are Punk and, I mean, granted, I don't know exactly how everything's going to work with them being on the road. Who's staying? Like, I don't know. Let me see. Look, I'm looking at the WWE schedule right now. When they run these.
So go for it. So I'm just saying, like, Netflix, whoever's like, yeah, give us Cena, Rhodes, and have us build their story on Netflix. In return, you have Roman, Punk, and Seth build up their match on SmackDown for the next couple weeks. They're doing like a switcheroo here.
Maybe, because I'm trying to see. So it's like, yeah, see, this is the weird thing. It's like on the 17th for next week's Monday, they have Raw. But then they have like 4 days off. So they just stay in the UK for 4 days, just sightseeing, and then go to SmackDown that Friday. Because they don't even have any shows announced or set up like during that. Like before, they'd be like, oh, we got 3 weeks straight of shows. Or maybe a day off to travel or something here and there. But it's like, you got Raw on Monday, And you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with nothing.
Yeah. So are they like required to stay overseas for like 3 weeks? Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
Because like Roman, he's only got those 2 SmackDowns. So I assume he just flies into Italy and then flies into London.
So let me ask you this though. Are you okay with CM Punk getting his first main event match at WrestleMania, but non-title?
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay? And then, okay. So let's talk about, I'm with you. I'm kind of leaning towards Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, a triple threat match here being the main event. Unfortunately, yes, Io Sky, Bianca, and Rhea. I'm sure that's going to turn into a triple threat at some point. That's unfortunately, I don't think they're going to have that as the main event here. You brought up a good point off the air. We were talking about Jey Uso and Gunther. As far as
have that open night one and get that crowd going with Jay winning the belt.
That would be really
hype
ballsy.
Hype up the crowd, get them going, and then you do, I don't know, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens right after that, so you don't just kill them with a dud match or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, because initially my gut was saying Jey Uso versus Gunther should main event night one, because that's how you make that world title still feel very relevant if it's main eventing one of the nights of WrestleMania.
Remember WrestleMania 35, they opened with Brock and Seth, and
that's right.
Seth came out of that as the big, huge Universal Champion.
That's true. Yeah. My other thing too is, what better way to end night one if you have like 70,000 people, wherever, how many people are going to be in attendance that night, all yeeting to Jey Uso after he won that title? Because I think hands down, it's so obvious. I think Jay's going to win the title here.
That would be cool. The yeeting at the end of the show, or the whole crowd singing CM Punk's song.
Okay. Now, all right. So hypothetically, okay, let's talk about all 3 of these programs so far. Jey Uso versus Gunther. So Jey Uso had a match against Grayson Waller this week on Raw. Gunther comes out afterwards after Jey won. It just puts him in another sleeper, and it's like it's getting kind of repetitive. It's like Gunther comes out, tries to beat up Jey Uso. He said he was gonna make his life a living hell for picking him for after he won the Royal Rumble. But I don't know. I feel like I want some more substance to this feud, not just Jey Uso is on Raw and Gunther comes out of nowhere and just tags him. Like, I want some more meat to this bone there. I don't know how about you, or what you're feeling about this build so far.
So to make a kind of wacky, dumb analogy here, you got Gunther coming out, putting Jey Uso in the sleeper hold, and then Jay's like an hour later just cutting promos backstage, no problem. It's not that Gunther's putting Jay to sleep. He's putting us asleep, not caring about this feud, because they're doing the same thing every single week.
Yeah, they got to do something more here. And like I said to you before on a prior episode, like, I want Jay to go after Gunther from a mental standpoint, be like, listen, I know why you're upset that I picked you. I almost beat you at Saturday Night's Main Event back in December. I was this close to beating you then. I won the Royal Rumble after beating 29 of the other best superstars in this company right now. And I picked you. You're scared. You know deep down I have your number. That's why you're really upset that I picked you, because I almost beat you before. So I just feel like, and you're trying to cover up you're being scared by attacking me every single week. You're trying to beat me down so I'm not 100% for my match, because you know I have your number. So I just feel like that's where Jay could come from a psychological standpoint to get in Gunther's head. Like, you're this big final boss monster, unstoppable force of nature for years in WWE and prior to even joining WWE, but no one's had your number before, and you know I have it. So I feel like psychologically that's how they can get there. So hopefully Jay will cut a promo soon and kind of acknowledge that, or bring that up in some capacity,
right?
That like, you're scared, Gunther. You know I got you. So I don't know. We'll see.
He doesn't just have that though. He's also got the fact of, hey, you said you're going to put me through hell, but every week I'm still here. You say you're going to take me out, you're going to put me down, and I'm not going to be able to make it to Mania, but I'm still good. I'm standing, and you're the one running away after you try to beat me down.
Exactly. And he says, I come back every single week. This crowd is here every single week that got my back, and the crowd could get into it as well. Like, me and the WWE universe are coming after you. So like, there's so much that can do more with this. So I hope so. And listen, I love Gunther. I love Walter. I
Mhm.
love every version of him. He's a badass. I mean, I think his world title reign's been a little underwhelming the last couple months right now, but it's just there's so much going on right now with the company. But so yeah, we'll see how that goes with Jey Uso plays out here. Let's talk about Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, their program, their segment this week. I feel kind of bad for Io Sky. She won the title last week, shocking fashion, but she's almost like the third wheel in this in this storyline right now because Rhea and Bianca are confronting each other in the ring, talking to each other. They're focused on each other right now. Rhea's pissed at Bianca because she interfered in the match last week. Bianca is telling her like that was my time now to go after the title. Io Sky's the champion, but she's like in the back, like just standing there. How do you feel that as champion, she's kind of like the third wheel in this whole thing?
I think it's brilliant because we're going to get, and this is if I were booking it based off of what we got Monday. I saw that and I go, oh, okay, I can see where this is going. If I was Triple H and I booked that segment on Monday where everyone thinks, oh, it's Io's the third wheel, like you said.
Yeah.
What I would do is now Bianca and Rhea are so hyper focused on each other that Io goes into that match at WrestleMania and they're so hyper focused on taking out each other and beating each other. She then sneaks in, not really sneaks in, but she's there and takes the advantage of one takes one down, she's going to pounce. The one takes one down, she's going to pounce. And then that's how she's going to win because they're eventually going to beat each other up so bad that she's going to have the opportunity to just jump in, hit that moonsault and pin one of them and win. But yeah, I think, Io lost to Bayley last year. So it's her time this year to get the big WrestleMania title win.
That's going to be interesting you say that because I think we mentioned this last week. Bianca Belair has a WrestleMania win streak going right now. It's not Undertaker levels yet, but I think she's won, 5 in a row now, I want to say, hypothetically, because I think what was her first Mania? Was it 2020?
The Sasha Banks match?
Because that was 2021, if I remember, Tampa Bay. That was
Did she do the PC Mania? I don't think she did.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking it up.
So 21 was Sasha Banks. 2022, that was oh my god. Becky Lynch. 23 in LA, wasn't that
okay, so I got him here. So technically her first WrestleMania was 2018, WrestleMania 34. She was in the Battle Royal on the kickoff show.
That's right. Okay.
So that you wouldn't count. But technically her first one having like a main card match would have been the Sasha Banks match.
Interesting. Okay, so it's only 21, 22, 23, 24. So she's 4-0.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
so if you want to keep some sort of semblance of a streak alive, you have Io pin Rhea.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm with you. It just that first part of that segment, I was a little taken back. I was like, man, Io's the champion, but she's like the third wheel, and like Rhea and Bianca are focused on each other. I laughed when Io tried to get involved, like insert herself. Rhea pushed her, then Bianca. But Io, I love her mannerism, her body language. She was like, blah, like she just made this goofy face and like blah, like it made me laugh so hard at her reaction. So
see, I think her and Asuka have the best like body language and face, and they have to because of their limitations with the English language.
Absolutely.
And I think it's actually benefited them almost more than anybody.
Exactly. And then I love, though, after getting shoved to the side by both of them, Io came back and slapped both of them in the face. And then it turned to a whole little brawl right there. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, though, how they're going to get Rhea make this into a triple threat. Because right now, on paper, it's technically Io versus Bianca. So, but obviously, Rhea confronting them the week after, she's not going anywhere. They want Rhea's star power on the WrestleMania card. So just how they're going to get there. We talked about in last week's episode, maybe at some point in the coming weeks, Bianca and Rhea get so frustrated with each other. Maybe Rhea calls out Bianca and says, put your number one contendership on the line as a make good for interfering in my match, and winner gets involved or winner gets to face Io at WrestleMania, but then maybe it's a wonky finish and then it turns into a triple threat. So we'll see. Yeah.
Here's my one last question on this. Who's the heel?
Yeah, that is true.
They're all baby faces.
Yeah. It's also a tough situation right now. Yeah, you're right. It's all baby faces here.
Unless you're gonna turn Rhea.
I don't know.
Bianca, I don't think they can because of the Jade Naomi story.
Yes.
Which we'll talk. Unless it comes out that Bianca did know and she was just playing, but I don't think she did. Yeah. And Io, no. It's just no.
Yeah, no. So I was going to say, so we'll talk more about Bianca when we talk about SmackDown a little bit. So yeah, it's been a busy week for Bianca Belair. All right, last thing real quick. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, steel cage match. Very fun match. I mean, it's legendary. I like it's cool that WWE reminds you of the history of steel cage matches, specifically at Madison Square Garden, have always been a big thing for WWE for decades. And it's just cool showing some of those old highlights from the 70s and 80s and stuff. I geek out so hard for those big historical moments there. Super cool. Awesome match. I know some people kind of complaining it was like both of them kicking out of finishers and whatnot, but I mean, we see that everywhere in today's world. AEW, the indies, everyone kicks out a lot of finishers.
The night before, how many finishers did they kick out in that cage match at Revolution?
Exactly. But at the very end, we see Roman Reigns make his big return. We have not seen him since Royal Rumble, right? Technically?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they did the injury angle where Seth accidentally double stomped him and actually, I think, rocked him a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they did a stomp on the steps.
So here he is coming back about 5 weeks later. And as Seth is like leaning towards the door for the cage, like almost making an escape. I like this match. They both were not, CM Punk and Seth Rollins in the first half of this match were really determined just to beat the crap at each other. They weren't concerned about trying to escape the cage or anything. But anyway, at the end, Seth Rollins is like almost towards the door. Roman comes in, grabs him, and drags him out. But since Seth's feet touched the ground first, he technically won the match with the help of Roman Reigns. But then Roman Reigns, Superman punched him, speared him, took him out. And then he went inside the ring, took out CM Punk. Here's the thing, though. Paul Heyman was hugging CM Punk, like consoling him. And Roman Reigns kind of looked at him. What do you think that means? Or what do you think? Because this storyline, all three guys have beef with one another in some capacity. Seth versus CM Punk, we know their history for decades now. Even their match at the January 6th episode of Monday Night Raw. Seth and Roman have their history with the Shield. Obviously, we know about that. Punk, Roman are both vying for the attention of Paul Heyman as their wise man. You know, Punk is a Paul Heyman guy. Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman is his wise man, and I think that's it. Like, you know, so you know what I'm getting at. They all have some sort of beef with one another. So it is a very sticky situation with all three of them there. So, but specifically Heyman, where do you think Heyman's going to play into all this?
So if you're asking about Paul Heyman, my question on Raw was, when did Heyman come down to the ring? Because it didn't look like he walked down with Roman.
Okay.
Now, if he did, maybe Roman went to the side of the door and Paul walked around the other way so we didn't see it. But if not, then why would Heyman come down separately just to check on CM Punk? Like, are we getting what I've been kind of wanting to see? I've said it a couple times now. Hey, CM Punk, he beats Roman Reigns with the help of the wise man somehow at WrestleMania. He wins at WrestleMania by turning heel and Paul Heyman joining him and saying, "I'm sorry, my tribal chief, but our time has come and gone." And then somehow, I don't know how Heyman would help. Like, Heyman's not going to do anything physical to Roman.
Maybe that's the favor. Help me win the match.
Right.
Because we don't know what they keep saying this favor. What is this favor? But what degree is this favor? Is the favor to get him a main event match? Is the favor to make it a triple threat? Is the favor, to help him in the middle of a match get the victory? I mean, it's such a vague statement. And I guess that's done on purpose.
Right.
So they can write it however they want to in the near future. But yes, Paul Heyman's role is going to be interesting here. And However, though, my only concern is the build. I mean, I hope we get more Roman Reigns. Like, I feel like it's going to be Seth and CM Punk doing the most of the talking for the next few weeks, and Roman showing up occasionally. I hope Roman shows up. I know you said earlier he's going to be on a couple SmackDowns.
Not tomorrow, but the next 2 weeks.
Okay. So that's obviously probably going to build up their matches there. So I want Roman there. Having Roman there obviously makes this WrestleMania feel bigger. He's one of the biggest stars in this company. They need him for this road to WrestleMania build. So yes, I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be Roman's first Mania in 4 years that he's not defending a title.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be curious how they're gonna make this a triple threat. I mean, is it simple? Just like, hey, we all hate each other. Make it a triple threat, Nick Aldis or whoever.
Now,
Adam Pearce.
Do you think he jumped in the cage because he was mad that Heyman was consoling Punk, or just, CM Punk, I got to beat him up too?
I mean, seeing Paul Heyman in the ring, he probably wanted to go in there
because he didn't.
What's going on?
But he didn't though. That's the thing. I thought maybe he would like grab Punk, throw him against the cage, spear, and then like look at Heyman like, what was that? But he didn't even acknowledge Heyman when he jumped in.
It's almost like he kind of smirked, or he was kind of like smiling, like,
Yeah, it was a little awkward.
It was weird. Like he's like he seemed confused. Smile when you smile. Sometimes when you're confused, you're like, huh? Like so. Anyway, that's gonna be, how they're gonna turn this into a triple threat officially, and it seems like right now that could be the main event for night one. So we'll see. Last thing I just want to mention about Raw this week as major highlights. Another match it looks like they're building towards AJ Styles and Logan Paul. As we talked about earlier, comedian Andrew Schultz was sitting front row ringside there, promoting his Netflix special. But then Logan Paul comes out, cut this promo, talks to Andrew Schultz. They're buddies. They've been on each other's podcast. And Andrew Schultz went babyface here, which I was shocked. I thought he was going to be a heel. But he told Logan Paul, like, you're not a real wrestler. You're not a regular wrestler. And Logan Paul got pissed and then tried to beat him up and threw him in the ring. But AJ Styles made the save. So it looks like it's going to be AJ versus Logan Paul at Mania.
To me, the funniest part was Andrew Schultz goes, well, we ain't Cleveland. You're from Cleveland, so people from Cleveland like you. But then they go to Cleveland and they boom out the building too.
Exactly. So are you cool with that for AJ Styles, like him and Logan Paul for WrestleMania? I'm sure it's going to be a really high-flying type match.
So it'll probably, if I'm thinking here, be similar, but a little better than the Shane WrestleMania match that AJ had, the Shane McMahon one. Because Logan, works kind of, I don't want to say similar to Shane, but it's in the way of like, he's more athletic than Shane, of course, but he always wants to get that one big high spot in, just like Shane.
Interesting. Okay.
So maybe it could be something. And AJ talked about this in his Chris Van Vliet episode. He's like, that Shane McMahon match was way better than it had any right to be. He's like, everyone went in there thinking it was going to be a dud, and we tore it down.
Nice.
He said he loved working Shane at WrestleMania.
I need to finish watching that one. I watched the whole Scott Steiner one on Chris Van Vliet. I love that one. He said, some guys from Harvard said that my math was right. Yes, I saw. So check that out. Last thing, just real quick, we saw New Day take on Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio in a tornado tag team match. We saw this masked person with American-made luchador mask come out, interfere, and then everyone assumed it was Chad Gable just from the body size, the fact that we saw the week before Chad Gable traveled to Mexico in this video package, bought what appeared to be a mask from a guy in a box. But then backstage, Kathy Kelly interviews Chad Gable, and she's like, "What were you doing out there?" He's like, "That wasn't me." And then in the background, we see someone else, same exact outfit with that luchador mask, being arrested, taken out. So I think it's obviously a little bit misdirect. A lot of people are saying that's Ray Phoenix. It's like, no,
because it looks like a Phoenix on a mask.
I think what happens is, Chad paid someone to have to look like that. So it's just, to me, it was a funny segment, but I think it's going to be revealed that, it's Chad Gable is the new American-made luchador or
Mr. America 2.0.
Mr. America 2.0. So that was so that'll be a fun story, I think, to play out more in the coming weeks on Raw. So but
you could pre-order that mask right now for the low price of $49.99.
Really?
You won't get it till June, the end of June, but
What? Like pre-orders?
yeah, you pre-order now. It says the mask will ship no later than June 27th.
Oh my God. I'm oh, that is ooh, if you get it by June, you'd be ready for 4th of July.
Maybe.
But it'd be a fun mask to wear around 4th of July weekend, all that. So
how perfect was Kathy Kelly though in that segment?
Oh,
she was like, Chad, it was you. Don't lie to us. And then all of a sudden the guys, and she's like,
no, she's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big fan of hers.